The world can be a paradoxical place. On one hand, many of us are fortunate to lead peaceful, untroubled lives surrounded by the tranquility of nature and the warmth of family. Yet on the other, a chilling reality exists where innocent lives are cut tragically short by sinister forces shrouded in mystery. In a quiet suburb nestled amidst lush bushland on the outskirts of Sydney, the local community was shattered when the body of a young girl was discovered under the most sinister of circumstances. Just 14 years old, Michelle Pagmore's entire life lay ahead of her, brimming with promise. But in the blink of an eye, her bright future was extinguished. As days turned to weeks and weeks to months after the devastating discovery, myriad questions lingered with no answers in sight. What events could have possibly led an innocent child to meet such a disturbing end? Who could have perpetrated such an unspeakable act upon her? And most hauntingly, why does a veil of silence still surround the circumstances to this day? For now, the hope remains that someone, somewhere silently holds the key to unraveling the mystery of her fateful final hours. This is the story of Michelle Pagmore and the enduring search for answers. Hello guys, and welcome back to Crimeco, where we break down some of the most gruesome true crime cases from all over the world, giving you the most up-to-date detailed information. If that sounds like something you are interested in, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a like. A like from you really helps the channel. Thank you. Sydney, the community where Michelle Pagmore's body was found boasted a peaceful, family-friendly atmosphere. Tree-lined streets filled with cozy single-family homes branched out into pockets of bushland interspersed with parks and recreation facilities. On the surface, it seemed an unlikely setting for such a chilling crime to occur. Despite the tranquility, this suburb faced the same challenges affecting many fringe communities. Strains of economic hardship and urban decay had taken root below the surface over time. Like tendrils creeping steadily outward, social issues including youth disenfranchisement and substance crept into the community. Once idyllic parks and reserves became haunts for aimless, troubled youths and those who preyed upon them. It was here, amid a tangle of brush in a local reserve, that Michelle's fragile, depleted body lay undiscovered for days in the sweltering February heat. The serene setting now forever stained by the sinister secrets it concealed. As speculation swirled, rumors of underground parties, illicit activities, and missing individuals filtered through the community. For many, the peace of mind they once took for granted was shattered. To all who knew her, Michelle Pagmore was a girl overflowing with promise. Described as bright, bubbly, and wise beyond her years, she brought joy to those around her. As a lover of books and fairy tales, her head swirled with dreams and aspirations. In her buoyant eyes, one could see reflections of the boundless future before her, a future cut short before she had a chance to actualize her potential. Her tragic fate sent shockwaves through her tight-knit community, where she was a familiar, well-loved face. During Michelle's formative years, her resilient spirit led her to forge connections with youths a few years her senior. Drawn by her magnetic charm, they welcomed her into their circles as one of their own. Far from a troubled runaway, Michelle was the apple of her family's eye, doting parents who would soon face every mother and father's worst nightmare. Though she mingled with older peers, Michelle's real life was one of comfort and security. She delighted in quality time with her family, weekends playing in the yard, and little gestures like her mother gifting her new shoes. No one imagined she would meet her end amidst the same local streets she'd grown up in. Michelle Pagmore first entered the world on a crisp winter day in July of 1989. Born to parents Kathy and Gary Pagmore, Michelle was the first of the couple's 3 daughters. She spent her early years in a cozy home in the western Sydney suburb of Bidwell, a stone's throw from the bushland where her body would later be found. By all accounts, Michelle's childhood was a happy and stable one. She attended a local public primary school where she excelled academically and socially. Though shy around strangers, she exuded a magnetic exuberance around those she was comfortable with. Michelle's interests skewed toward imaginative pursuits. She could often be found curled up with a book of fairy tales and fantasy, enthralled by the magical realms within their pages. She also delighted in bikes, roller skates, and other outdoor activities around her neighborhood. As she grew older, Michelle's parents trusted her to venture further afield, leading her to spend increasing time socializing with other youths in the adjoining suburb of Mount Druitt. It was on these streets that the impressionable girl's path would tragically intersect with sinister forces, leading to her unfathomable demise. Though only 14 years old, Michelle had already endured immense hardship during her short life, but she persevered with a resilience beyond her years. Tragically, her steely will was not enough to save her from the evil that lay in wait. The disjointed trail of Michelle's fateful final days began innocuously enough. On the afternoon of Thursday, February 19, 2004, she arrived home from school visibly upset. But her mood quickly brightened when her mother surprised her with a gift of stylish new running shoes, which Michelle gleefully modeled before heading out to the shops that evening. When she failed to return home that night, her mother Kathy sounded the alarm, reporting 14-year-old Michelle as an official missing person. The next morning, CCTV footage captured Michelle walking alone around Mount Druitt Mall in the early hours, still clad in her signature new blue and pink shoes. Then the trail went cold. Michelle's whereabouts throughout the entirety of Friday, February 20th, remain a mystery. However, eyewitness accounts place her at a street party that evening back in her hometown of Bidwell. Hosted to promote local youth outreach programs, some kind of confrontation allegedly occurred involving Michelle at the event. But after departed the party near 7 p.m., her movements became a blank slate. Then, 3 days later, the search for Michelle came to a shattering halt. On the morning of Sunday, February 22nd, Michelle's lifeless body was discovered in bushland beside the sports fields at Mount Druitt's Town Center Reserve. The cherished new shoes she had been so proudly wearing just days earlier were nowhere to be found. In the sweltering 45-degree February heat, decomposition had already set in, making determination of a cause or time of passing impossible. With scant forensic evidence and no eyewitnesses, investigators faced the colossal task of piecing together Michelle's final hours from the fragmented trail of breadcrumbs she had left behind. That fateful Sunday morning in February 2004 started like any other for those passing through the town center reserve in Mount Druitt. As the heat climbed, families gravitated towards the playgrounds and sporting fields to soak up the weekend weather. Little did they know, a grim discovery awaited. In the early morning hours, Michelle Pagmore was discovered lying face down among the shrubbery near the expansive fields of the reserve. When emergency services arrived, the signs of rigor mortis were evident, and Michelle's arms were positioned unnaturally above her head, as if she had been struggling to defend herself. Upon closer inspection, the scene grew even more unsettling. Michelle's lower half was unclothed, with her distinctive white track pants missing. The stylish new running shoes, a recent gift from her mother, were also notably absent from the scene. Given the sweltering weekend temperatures topping 45 degrees Celsius, investigators knew decomposition was already well underway. The excessive heat effectively destroyed possible DNA evidence and made pinpointing time and cause of passing virtually impossible. With no indications of a struggle or any apparent involved, early speculations pointed towards possible involvement of substances or suffocation. However, due to the scarcity of forensic evidence, authorities understood that uncovering the complete circumstances of Michelle's suspicious demise would heavily rely on valuable input from the public. The most pressing question remained: who was responsible for this, and what motivated it? Following the startling discovery of Michelle's body, investigators wasted no time in initiating a thorough investigation. It was swiftly established that Michelle had last been seen leaving a street party in her hometown of Bidwell at around 7 p.m. on Friday, February 20th. But any information regarding her whereabouts after that moment had vanished. Detectives worked around the clock interviewing partygoers and combing Michelle's known haunts for clues. But strangest of all was the deafening silence from the community. Not a single eyewitness came forward to report seeing Michelle after she slipped away into the night. With no autopsy evidence, forensics, or cooperative witnesses to go on, leads quickly grew cold. Search teams scoured the bushland of Town Center Reserve in hopes of recovering Michelle's missing clothing or any shred of evidence left behind. But all they could recover was the deteriorated scene where her body lay. As weeks turned to months without answers, Michelle's frantic parents grew desperate, offering a $100,000 reward for any information that could clinch an arrest. Thousands of flyers with Michelle's photo and details blanketed the community. Still, even the lure of a bounty could not seem to entice anyone to break the code of silence. For investigators, it seemed someone, or someones, in the community certainly held clues that could crack open the case. But frustratingly, those with secrets to hide continued lurking in the shadows just out of reach. Still at large somewhere was the monster responsible for stealing Michelle's bright future away. While the precise circumstances surrounding Michelle's demise remain uncertain, authorities believe she was lured to the secluded reserve under false pretenses. Once there, she was likely by an opportunistic predator lying in wait. It is suspected Michelle initially went along unsuspectingly, perhaps anticipating a clandestine party or meetup with friends. Tragically, once in the remote bushland away from prying eyes, she found herself trapped in a nightmare from which she would never escape. Investigators believe that a violent struggle took place, suggested by the contorted position of her body, indicating a desperate fight for her life. Unfortunately, Michelle was overpowered and left alone, unable to overcome her assailant. In her last harrowing moments, she not only lost her life but her dignity as well. Her clothing being removed led authorities to believe that her intended to degrade and objectify her in a horrific way, possibly in an attempt to hide any potential evidence. The motive seemed to be about control rather than a simple assault. Yet, with so many unanswered questions, the full reconstruction of Michelle's tragic end remains a challenge for authorities. For her family, the ongoing lack of answers multiplies the pain exponentially. They remain haunted by thoughts of her suffering at the hands of someone who viewed her life as disposable. But still, they cling to hope that a break in the case will finally bring closure. Justice for Michelle remains just over the horizon. In the 18 agonizing years since Michelle's slaying, investigators have continued hitting dead ends in their pursuit of answers. With the case long cold, they have been unable to conclusively identify any suspects or determine if Michelle's murder was an isolated act or connected to the alleged rape she endured weeks prior. Bereft of justice, Michelle's parents, Gary and Kathy, have devoted themselves to keeping her memory alive and the spotlight fixed on her unsolved case. Each Christmas, they present local police with a hamper overflowing with gratitude for their tireless efforts. Kathy maintains a Facebook page documenting Michelle's story, hopeful that one day a detail might spur a break in the case. In 2006, an extensive coroner's inquest was conducted, yet it provided little clarity on the events leading to Michelle's tragic end. The coroner could only vaguely conclude that her demise occurred at some point between February 20th and 22nd, 2004. While unable to definitively declare Michelle's passing a fateful outcome, the coroner strongly implied foul play and pushed for the six-figure reward still being offered today. However, even this temptation has yet to loosen tongues. Someone amongst the tight-knit community surely holds the answers, but has yet to muster the courage to come forward. Recently, a thin ray of hope emerged. The NSO police announced plans to re-examine all cold cases, with Michelle's investigation likely receiving renewed scrutiny. Advancements in forensic technology may yet unravel DNA evidence to identify her killer. Until then, securing justice for Michelle remains just out of reach for her aggrieved loved ones. Michelle Pagmore's tragic story stands as a sobering reminder that evil often lurks unseen in the most unexpected places. Her senseless elimination left a community shaken, a family broken, and investigators plagued by questions that 18 years later still lack definitive answers. The circumstances surrounding Michelle's fateful final hours remain murky, with no eyewitnesses or cooperating evidence ever uncovered. Yet surely someone lurking in the shadows possesses the missing puzzle pieces. For whatever reason, they continue clinging to their secrets under a code of silence. But now, the passage of nearly 2 decades must erode such misplaced loyalties. Any knowledge withheld out of fear or misguidance must be brought into the light to honor Michelle's stolen future. Her enduring spirit calls for justice. Her family deserves closure, and her community needs assurance that those capable of such inhuman acts against a child will not remain free to strike again. The open $100,000 reward still stands ready for anyone willing to come forward and anonymously provide the details needed to finally close this cold case. Now is the time to find your courage and pursue justice for Michelle. Her bright light extinguished too soon still deserves to shine. Michelle Pagmore must not be forgotten. Someone must know the truth. For now, hope endures that someday justice will be served. Before you leave, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell. This will ensure you stay informed about the latest true crime cases we uncover. We're grateful to have you as part of our community as we explore the captivating mysteries that continue to fascinate us all. Stay curious and vigilant that even closed books still hold untold pages waiting patient revelation. Thank you for joining us, and we eagerly anticipate seeing you in our next exploration. Until next time.